A massive booking botch for tonight's taped episode of NXT on the USA Network. A decision so bad, it has left fans baffled that this call could actually be made. Just 24 hours after this person was flat on their back looking up at the lights before their title match the next night. I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. Again, these are spoilers tonight. This NXT show was taped last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. I will not be going over the full spoilers, so you guys have something to look forward to the entire show, aside from what we're going to cover. If you don't want the spoilers, even for this one match, earmuffs or come back later in the week for more uploads. There'll be plenty of content as we go towards Survivor Series. Speaking of, just a few hours ago, we put up the Raw review. A lot to talk about. Almost an hour of content. We break down everything from Randy Orton's return to Gunther and Miz lighting it up on the microphone, volleying one great promo to another. And Xia Li and Becky Lynch with a great match. And unfortunately, it all fell off the rails toward the finish. And most of that had to do with booking. Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, you want to hear my thoughts on that, that's in the review for sure. And a little botch by BC in that review. I said that Drew McIntyre won the main event via the fruit roll-up over Jey Uso. Notes were mixed up. I totally did not even cover the match before, which was Shinsuke versus Gable. Shinsuke defeated Gable via the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating fruit roll-up. So there was a roll-up. It was right before the main event. Shinsuke defeated Gable. It was a Future Shock DDT that had Drew defeat Jay. Drew wins the advantage for Judgment Day at War Games. So a little clarification there. But we will go over this mind-boggling move by WWE and Paul Levesque McMahon. It's a taped show tonight for NXT. I was staying away from the spoilers because I didn't want to know. As a big Xia Li supporter, I was going to be interested to see how they went about business. And I was staying away from spoilers for sure. And then all of a sudden, after what happened last night with the Becky Lynch match, these spoilers became more illuminated. And the spotlight was on these spoilers. And more and more fans by the hour were starting to become befuddled. Like, how does this even make sense? I'll cover it. Give me a couple minutes. I got a few things I want to talk about first, and then we'll get to that, because I have a feeling that's going to take up the bulk of the time. This won't be a long upload. Again, I just put up the Raw review. That was almost an hour. A couple of things real quick. More clarification for a story that's out there, but this story doesn't make sense, right? I don't know how it's in the headlines, but it's all over the headlines. Apparently, MJF, many believe, WWE is what the report says. WWE believes that MJF has quietly already re-signed with AEW. And that is why, this is what the report says, that is why there has been no talks between WWE and MJF. First of all, that could be the case. Maybe they did quietly re-sign. That's their business, their prerogative. We'll find out when it's our time to find out. But that's not why WWE is not reaching out and doing business with MJF. No, you see, that's called contract tampering. They can't do that. When Paul Levesque McMahon tried to talk to some buddies in AEW, they went and told Tony Khan, and it became a big deal, right? They got in trouble for that. There was a legal notice sent over to WWE. So that's contract tamper. Of course, WWE can't just sit at the table, have some margaritas, and talk shop and business with Maxwell Jacob Freeman while he's under contract with AEW and their current champion. No, most of the time, and I'm talking 99.99% like a Clorox wipe, that is going to be fine print in the contract. You just can't talk to your competitor or that company's competitor, the opposition, while you're under contract. That goes for most companies, but especially something like pro wrestling, where it's dependent that you are loyal to that company, because that could affect what you do down the road, right? Like if you're playing around with another company while you're holding this company's championship and they're offering you, say, double the money, you'll do whatever they say. You'll do things like take a championship and put it into a trash can live on TV, right? Now you say, well, BC, how was Alundra Blaze able to do that, right? She must have been talking with WCW. No, she wasn't under actual contractual obligations to WWE. She just had the title. Same thing with Ric Flair when he showed up to WWF with the NWA championship. He was separated from NWA WCW at the time. So he had the title and he's like, well, hey, I can come over with this, which is precisely why if you're under contract, companies don't want you to do such. Right, a prime example, for instance, Lex Luger, right? There's a famous story out there by Lex himself. That's how he was able to show up at 2 shows at once. He was on the first ever Nitro while simultaneously being on Monday Night Raw. How was he able to do that? Right, BC, he must have breached his contract or have been talking to WCW while under contract. No, he was on a handshake deal, guys. He was never actually under contract. So that's how you can not only do what Lex Luger did, but you can actually say in interviews, that's what I did, because him and Vince were on a handshake deal. Lex just turned his back on the handshake. But usually you are under contract. You cannot talk to the opposition. That's called contract tampering. Or tampering with someone's contract if you're the entity, in this case WWE. And they were just in trouble with that last year with AEW wrestlers, or Tony Khan more specifically. So all of this talk that WWE feels like MJF is quietly re-signed, so they're not talking with MJF right now, is bogus. That's bogus reporting because that's contract tampering. WWE is not just going to reach out to MJF while he's their champion and still has time on his contract. That's not how this works. And again, companies will protect themselves from that. Because you could have Paul Levesque McMahon in MJF's ear saying, hey, listen, we're going to offer you so much more money. What you're going to do is you're going to take that title, you're going to bring it to TV, and I want you to put it in the trash. I want you to throw it over into the lake, throw it over the bridge right into the river. I want you to run over it with a monster truck. I want you to piss on it. Who knows, right? But you can't be talking to these companies while they're putting their prized possession on you. That's why these contracts protect the company from such activity. So I don't get this, and it took on steam, and it started making headlines all around the wrestling community. WWE, I fully believe the last thing they're thinking about going into Survivor Series with all they have going on right now, I think the last thing they're thinking is, damn, we have to reach out to MJF. I doubt very much. Now, let me put a caveat, an asterisk on that. Of course that's happening with so many wrestlers, right? They all know each other and people within organizations. Everybody knows somebody in the other company, and you send out feelers, right? Young Bucks, for instance. There was a reputable report that the Young Bucks, during the whole CM Punk situation, they were sending out feelers, man. Kenny Omega, as his contract was winding down, there was feelers being sent out, but nothing official. We didn't have actual names. There was nothing that you could pinpoint to something that would prove contract tampering. But it's called feelers, right? And you have your friends or somebody you know who maybe knows somebody else, and you just see what the opposition is thinking, right? And then it's almost like before there was cell phones and whatnot, back in school, you would have to like pass notes around the classroom to get to the girl you really had a crush on across the classroom, right? You had to pass the note, and it has to filter through 7 individuals. At least 3 or 4 of them are actually going to open it and read about it. And your hope is that the teacher doesn't get it before it reaches your crush, that girl on the opposite side of the room. It's basically one of those, it's that process, right? You're sending out all these feelers. There's all these middle men, right? Middle people involved. And they're all freaking passing along what you want the other company to know. And then the company is passing it all back to you. And you're just hoping that there's not a mole in the situation, right? That there's not a rat in the room that's going to go and tell the owner what they're hearing. Right, so that's the hope. But of course, they're always talking as their contract expires, especially. They always have feelers into the other company. But you can't actually have sit-downs with the other company and just go and talk about it like it's nothing. Like, yeah, just had some meetings with WWE. So anyway, Tony, what do you got for me tonight? It doesn't work that way. So debunking that story flat out. Another story, this one's way more lighthearted. It's a little bit of fun. Undertaker is catching a little bit of flack for this, especially from hardcore Sting fans, but he was just having some fun. Undertaker, if you listen to the tone and how he was during this whole interview, he's just having fun with it, but it does open up some good discussion. Undertaker was asked about Sting and a match if they had it in WWE or wherever, if he had that match with Sting, which should have happened, by the way. How would it have turned out? What is his thoughts on a match with Sting? Undertaker says, oh, come on, brother. He said, come on. I would have planted him. And hold on, I want to give you the exact, I don't even want to paraphrase this because it was too good. And again, this is all in good fun, and he praises Sting in his retirement, and I'll give you that quote as well. So I think some people, like, either they hear about like a quote and then they just run off with it without really putting it into context. But he says this, and I quote about Sting, a match with Sting, Undertaker, says, I'd have killed him. He'd have gotten a tombstone, brother. He's going out after I'd plant him. He says, I'd have planted him. So it opened a lot of discussion, like, would it have been that easy? Would it have been a little bit more difficult? I don't know how you guys feel of Sting and Undertaker, in their prime or just out of their prime. Who wins this? Does Sting take Undertaker somehow? Or does Undertaker say, you had a fine career, kid, pat him on the head, tombstone him, and just call it a day? Undertaker with the easy victory. Would it be hard fought? And somebody just squeezes it out and you don't know which individual that would be. I don't know. It's something to think about. It's a match we should have gotten, even though it's a lighthearted topic and we have fun with it. It's a match that absolutely should have happened, and it's a shame that it didn't. And WWE purposely did not want to do that match. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to put Sting in the same category with The Undertaker. This company just looked at Sting as just the embodiment of WCW, which was lower than them. That's why Sting was called up to WrestleMania, just to get defeated by Paul Levesque McMahon. And that's why he was never in there with The Undertaker. Sting wanted to do so much more in WWE, they didn't want him to do anything. How sad is that, man? Anyway, Undertaker was asked about Sting's retirement. Undertaker says, and I quote, Sting, congratulations, man, on just a spectacular career. I mean, just one true icon of our industry. He's done everything. And like I said, just the longevity of that character, just well done. And congratulations. I hope retirement is everything that you want it to be, and you deserve everything that you have. I mean, what a message by one icon to another, one legend to another. Unfortunately, you're not going to hear a lot of that comment being passed around the wrestling community. You're just going to hear if I had a match with Sting, I'd have killed him. He'd have gotten a tombstone, brother, and he's out after I planted him. You're only going to hear that, right? The definitive I would have whooped him statement. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. Sting, Undertaker, it should have happened. And that's one of those things that you could have easily done like a trilogy thing if you wanted to. I don't like rematches usually, but that's something I would have. Man, you could have done so much with Sting and Undertaker. All right, now moving on. This is the big topic of this upload. Tonight's NXT show is a taped show. Again, as I said in the opening, because of the Thanksgiving Day holiday this week, Thursday, I believe, correct? 23rd, just 2 days away, Thanksgiving, here in the States. They taped the show last week. I stayed away from the spoilers. I just wanted to, there was a big Xia Li match planned for tonight, a title match against Valkyria. I don't know why Xia Li is in NXT. She has no business being there. They just brought her to the main roster. For 2 straight weeks, she looked pretty badass. It looked like Levesque McMahon was starting to give her a little momentum. What a concept after over 2 years, right? And we heard that Xia Li and Paul Levesque McMahon had a little bit of a blowout a couple of years ago backstage. Specifically, Paul Levesque McMahon, not Vincent Kennedy. For some reason, they had a spat, and even after the argument, neither party was happy with one another. So it looked like Levesque McMahon pretty much saw past that. It looked like Xia was getting something special. And then came last night. Now, the match itself with Becky Lynch, if you guys didn't see Raw, wow. One of the best women's matches I've seen in WWE, on WWE television in a long time. It was that good. The crowd was into it. I could have watched another 5 to 10 minutes up front and been totally fine with that. Pour another coffee, keep going, ladies. Becky carried herself badass. Xia Li, always realistically badass. And they just had that chemistry. They were just zoned in until the very finish where Becky Lynch botched, unfortunately. She took the roundhouse, which was supposed to knock her out of the ring, but she got caught up in the ropes. How does Becky get caught up in the ropes? So she tried to get out, but she was caught. She was like stuck. So then Xia looks like had to look like a fool because she pushes her out because that was the planned finish. That was the setup to the finish, right? Xia she would have won if Becky didn't fall out of the ring. And so they're like, oh no, she didn't fall out of the ring. What do we do? So everybody panics. And Becky just stays there on the rope, bouncing like a basketball. Uh-oh, what do I do? And Xia just pushes her out. Of course, that makes Xia look foolish because wouldn't you pull her in and cover her? You just knocked her out. She's knocked out on the rope. So she pushes her out and then puts her hands on her head like, oh no, she's out of the ring. It was bad, man. And I knew when I saw that, I go, uh-oh, we're going to get a manhandle slam soon. Xia's eating this L. Clean. 1, 2, 3. Sure enough, moments later, manhandle slam. Xia's looking up at the lights, eating that loss, eating a pin. Clean. After 2 weeks of knocking out females pretty simplistically, right? Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, it looks like she has momentum. And it's one thing, and before I even... If you didn't see the Raw review, and you didn't see Raw, what happened right after the match was Damage Control came out, which I told you in the preview, hours before Raw, I told you that was most likely going to happen, right? Because Becky showed up on the Blue brand and got her nose into Damage Control business. So Damage Control is going to repay the favor. I had a feeling that was going to happen. So just have them attack Becky during the match. Xia still loses, but has to eat a pinfall, especially when she's going for an NXT title the next night. And Becky gets to continue this war. Everybody saves face. Instead, they have Xia lose clean, and then Damage Control comes out. And might I add, too, a little edit here by BC, because I have to put this in there. Slow as molasses. Like snails climbing over a turtle. I mean, they're coming through the crowd, Damage Control, like they have no place to be. Oh, look, it's Becky Lynch and Xia. Let me go to the ring and say hi to Becky. They're just kind of fluttering through the crowd, and as they get closer to the barricade, here comes all the faces. Charlie, Bianca, Shotzi. How are they that close to them? I said it on the Raw review. Were they just in section 305 eating corn dogs together? Like, that was so rushed, it's not believable that they're all just hanging out and coming through the... I could see if, like, Damage Control is, like, running through the crowd. Like, maybe they've already been brawling in the corridors. They're just kind of coming through the crowd. Hi, we're pro wrestlers. We're about to go to the ring. And feet behind them is all the faces. So none of it made sense on Monday night, last night, guys. You literally had a chance to protect Xia Li. And Paul Levesque McMahon, after 2 weeks of some momentum, said, psych! Not happening. And you think that's a doozy, said Levesque McMahon. Wait till Tuesday night. And again, this has already been taped. So this loss tonight was before last night's. But knowing that this was going to air across the world on Tuesday night, 24 hours after taking that L to Becky Lynch. So that sets up what happens tonight. Valkyria, who, by the way, was in attendance. She was front row talking trash to Xia the whole time. They played marketing and promotional ads last night that called Xia Li unstoppable. as she goes for her quest for the NXT championship. Unstoppable, she just got stopped by Becky Lynch live on Monday. So how are you going to play that ad now and market and promote that? The unstoppable Xia Li. Nope, we just saw her get stopped. And then she got stopped again tonight, which again was taped last Tuesday. Because tonight, guys, this is a spoiler, earmuffs, whatever. I told you at the beginning, if you didn't want to hear it, probably shouldn't be this far into the upload anyway. Xia Li loses to Valkyria tonight on NXT on the USA Network. Valkyria defeats Xia Li 24 hours after Xia Li just lost to Becky. What the spoilers are telling us is this is a straight, clean pinfall loss to Xia Li, by the way. A Samoan driver or Samoan, I don't have it in front of me anymore. Whatever Val does. Samoan driver, Samoan DDT, Samoan Hurricanrana, Samoan Canadian Destroyer, Samoan Plancha. Who the frick knows? But it is a straight pinfall loss, is what the spoilers told us. A pinfall loss. And it gets even worse than that. They had Xia Li attack Val at the beginning of the show, supposedly. So again, I'm not giving you the spoilers for the whole show, but I'm giving you the spoilers for everything that has to do with this match. Supposedly, the night starts off, the match is supposed to happen first, and Xia Li takes her out. So a massive advantage for somebody that should already have the advantage because she's Xia Li. She takes out Val. So the match gets pushed out to her later in the night. And then the spoilers said that Xia attacked Val during the introductions later in the night. So 2 sneak attacks, double the advantage on top of already just Xia being Xia. And they still had her lose. They still had Xia lose. Basically, you have a 60, 70% at best Valkyria taking on Xia Li. And they had Xia lose. The unstoppable Xia Li, who has been stopped twice in 2 days. If you want to say, within 24 hours, twice in 24 hours. Again, it was taped on last Tuesday, but let's keep it in the realm of the TV cycle. In 24 hours, you saw Xia Li pinned flat on her back looking up at the lights. BC, heels have to lose, man. Wrestlers lose. Not like this. She just got back. She just got back, right? She's been kept off TV for years. Vince and her didn't see eye to eye. Her and Paul Levesque McMahon traded arguments several times, so they didn't see eye to eye. She finally gets TV time. It looks like they're going to build her up into something special after 2 weeks. And then it was just for 2 massive L's. It was just so we can pump Becky up before War Games and pump up Val. You want her to lose to Becky Lynch, that's one thing. Horribly done because Damage Control attacked 1 minute later. So why not have Damage Control help save Xia from a pinfall loss? None of that makes sense. But if you want her to lose to Becky, that's one thing. NXT developmental talent the very next night? It's no wonder fans are baffled. And I'm talking fans that are not Xia Li fans, by the way. There's not. I'm a huge Xia Li supporter. I fully admit that. I don't hide from that fact. And I'll be the first to tell you, there's so many fans that still have not come around yet to Xia Li and what she's capable of. And that's cool. Hopefully in time she can win you over. But to do that, she has to have the chance, the opportunity. It looked like we were going that route. What she did on Monday showed everybody what she's capable of. And after just 2 weeks, Paul Levesque McMahon said, just kidding. We're going to match your 2-0 win streak over the last 2 weeks. We're going to give you 2 straight losses in 24 hours, and we're going to 50-50 book you. Couple of wins, couple of losses, you're average, just like everybody else. In 24 hours, Xia Li became average. The problem with that is she's anything but. This is a booking botch that I cannot comprehend. I'm not even going to try. This is what you call a booking botch personified. I've seen one too many from Levesque McMahon, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like that type of booking is going to stop anytime soon. Xia Li loses to Val tonight. Does not get that championship, nor did I think she should, nor is there any reason to have Xia Li on NXT programming. So from the jump, this never made sense. But if you cannot handle your business while protecting both individuals, then you shouldn't be handling such business. 24 hours, 2 losses to Xia that could have easily been preventable. Or prevented. Easily preventable. You can't even make it up. But with this company, sometimes it seems like it is. Anyway, until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. Current situation, check you. Peace!